Hello and welcome to Pitt State Esports. I'm Drake Miller here, joined by Easton Stamanites, and today we have some Valorant facing off against the Rogers State Hillcats. Last week, Pitt State unfortunately falling short to Northwest Missouri State in an 0-2 loss. The first game ending with a score of 13-2, and then the second one 13-4. Pitt State, finding their flow in the first week of competition here in this MCEC division, but with a couple of roster changes for this week, obviously with some fill-in players last week, they should be a little bit of a threat to, be reckoned with in this MCEC division. Looking across the roster, there are a couple of players that are potential additions to this Pitt State team. Obviously, Ben, Eros, and Tilsey sticking around from last week with the additions of potentially Bella, Danny returning, or I believe there was one other player that I didn't quite catch a name on that could very well be returning as well. But Easton, you watched last week's game. Obviously, what were some things that Pitt State did well in the second game compared to the first, where they grabbed just a couple more rounds and seemed like they started to find their flow there midway through game number 2?
Yeah, I think they had a little bit more confidence towards the end, honestly. When they were getting those rounds, we saw Ben kind of more or less pushing the team towards him and with him, honestly. So when he would dash in, his team would follow up with him. And we got sight really fast with a lot of those plays. And we got bomb down really fast too. So I think getting bomb down is a huge advantage for Pitt State. Once they have bomb down, it puts the pressure on for the enemy team. And I think that right there, along with, the fast movement and that bend over produces when he plays, really helped Pitt State there.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. Getting bomb or the spike down as quickly as possible has been a huge benefit, playing the defensive role rather than offensive. But looking at this Rogers State Hillcats roster, they've got a little bit of depth amongst their roster, so some substitutions couldn't really decide or point out who exactly was their starters. But across the board, you have Clarkey, Shax, KT Bun, Drift, Nolan, Moses, Cinders, Nick, and Invalid, all of which seem like very experienced Valorant players. So Pitt State does have their hands full today, and with this new roster, maybe still developing some of that synergy and that chemistry that we talked about last week. But I think, you had a week's time. You obviously did want to take that time to practice and get to know your teammates, and I think Pitt State will fare relatively well in today's matchup. But with that being said, we're only a couple of minutes out from game 1. I wanted to point out that Beck Sultan, I believe, which was Be Happy, was the other player that I mentioned on Pitt State. So he could very well see them step into today's matchup. And then following this matchup in this week 3 matchup, against I'm all over the place. Following this Rogers State matchup, it will be Fort Hays State for Pittsburgh, or against Pittsburgh next week. And then the following week, Pitt State will be playing Washburn, and then obviously off for spring break. After that, Pitt State will face off against UCO, and then following the UCO matchup, Northeastern State, and then finally another UCO matchup for Pittsburgh State. So, they're going to see a lot of really competent, very, very chemistry-driven opponents. I think it should be a pretty nice season, but we wanted to talk over some things that we saw in last week's match. Obviously, Northwest Missouri being one of the top opponents in this MCEC division. But Pitt State faring relatively well in a couple of those rounds, making do with what they had, budgeting very, very well. And I think if they face those opponents that are around that same skill level or maybe just a little higher, they could very well put up a good competition and take them down. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and send it to a quick break before game one, and we'll be right back with Agent Select and Map Select. All right, back on Pitt State Esports from the break, and let's go ahead and talk a little bit, Easton, about some default pushes that Pitt State could do, or that we could maybe see from Pitt State in today's matchup, as well as Roger State, excuse me. But just on the attacking side that we could see from these two teams. So go ahead and give us a rundown on the map of Bind and how, this attack side might work.
So yeah, on Bind, we usually see more attack-oriented teams. To be fair, for Pitt State side at least, I don't know about Roger State, but we'll see a lot of, Killjoy, Rays. We'll see a lot of Rays. Now, Killjoy is very defensive, but we'll see Rays. I think we see Jet a lot too on this map. Sometimes you'll see Harbor, but not very often. KO and Omen. A lot of the times you'll see these characters, but for just basic pushes that both teams might do, you got the classic A rush through long, which honestly it does usually catch people off surprise, but if there's like a Cypher and he's got a tripwire, he could trip the long right there and it'll catch them all. And a lot of if they do that, it's basically over for whoever is attacking because uh, Cypher now is such a huge play and huge sentinel with the recent buffs he's got to his tripwires and everything like that, that he could really just shut down a long or hookah push, for the matter of fact, pretty easy. So if Cypher's on B, if they have a Cypher, or if Pitt State decides to go Cypher, um, B is basically going to get locked down pretty hard.
Yeah, Bind it seems to be a very defense heavy map. Uh, in the grand spectrum of things, seeing that a Cypher can lock down one site and then you can have another player assisting him as well as the rest of your three players on A for defense. It makes it so difficult, and the rotation potential with the teleports also makes it extremely difficult to even lock it down after you plant the spike. I think for between these two teams, you could see, from what I've seen, a lot of pushes either come from that B main, which you indicated earlier, or that mid lane up A, right in front of that teleport into lamps, and a plant right in front of U-Haul is probably where you're going to see a lot of these players, push right off the bat, and feel out the opponents as well. Just feel out what kind of composition are they going? Do they have 3 on A or 3 on B? Is their sentinel playing on A or B? Do they have 2 sentinels? You just know it's there's a lot of factors that go into it, and it seems complicated, but for these players, it's almost second nature to them. But Bind is gonna be a common map. I could very well see us watching at least one game unfold on Bind, and then also Ascent. I think Ascent is another very common map. Let's go ahead and look at that real quick. And Easton, give us a little rundown as to what we could see on Ascent.
So again, with like a Cypher tripwire, Cypher really does shut down B again per usual because you only have 2 entryways to B, and most of the time you're not going to go through mid to hit B. So most of the time you will be entering from here, and Cypher will just hold that off, kind of shut down B if they have a Cypher. If not,
it'll probably be Killjoy, right?
Yeah. If not, it's going to be a Killjoy, and a good way to counter that would be going KO, trying to throw your knife into the vicinity of the Cypher or the Killjoy to kind of shut down those abilities so you can push. But on the A side, it's a little bit different. So a lot of the times, someone will check mid, see if anyone's peeking from market. And if nobody's peeking from market, a lot of the times we'll slowly creep up catwalk and get a definitive answer if you want to push A or B by the sounds indicated here or, here. So a lot of the times, if you hear, 2 or 3 footsteps of different players coming from market or, close mid, you're just going to go straight A, right? Through connector to from catwalk. So you'll just go straight through there, maybe even hit glass, maybe catch this boardwalk or heaven player off guard to where he'll get taken out. And it looks like the first map is Icebox. So we could take a look at Icebox plays too.
Now, looking at this map set real quick, the first game being held at Icebox, it looks like a quick review at that. Game 2 and Game 3 undecided as of right now, but Icebox a little bit different from the 2 maps that we covered. Unfortunately, we were unaware of what maps were going to be chosen. They're kind of chosen in the moment, but with Icebox, it is a little bit different because it's either neutral to almost a little attack heavy in some capacities, and it's so much different whenever you're playing that defense route. As we look at some of the player select between the 2 teams, it looks like the green side is going to be Rogers State, and then the red side on attack starting will be Pittsburgh State with the roster of Ben, Tilsey, Eros, Bella, and Doggy. So should be a very, very good competition, and with a neutral map like Icebox and a map that has so much potential for both sides. I think this is just something that both teams, we could very well see them get aggressive on both attack and defense. I think that's one of the biggest things is Pitt State loves to be that almost attack defense where they push up the lanes and cut them off quickly, almost unexpectedly, and quickly get the reads so that the rest of the team can rotate. And if we see that today, I don't see any reason why they can lose. Rogers State, on the other hand, don't know a ton about them, but they do have some high-ranked players, and you can see across the levels there. Very experienced Pitt State as well, with some experienced players as well. Nolan over there on the Rogers State team will start off over on the B site alone. It looks like it's gonna be a pretty even spread on defense as you look at that mini map up in your top left hand corner. Pitt State going with an immediate 5 rush on B site. We'll see if it pays off. Little bit more time with the buy, not getting too aggressive with any of their purchases on either side. Nolan playing a very passive angle, almost pushing up mid, maybe checking for sound cues. Pitt State clearing off the main lane.
Toxins going up.
It's about to go down for round number 1. Couple of pre-fire shots from Ben. Nolan trying to take out the wingman with the plant, but the plant goes down, and Pitt State with a little bit of an advantage here as Rogers State will be on a time limit, and if that was planted properly, the Sage Wall clears off the spike. Nolan gets a quick
One enemy remaining.
Goes down as well, and so does the rest of the Pitt State squad. Aside from Ben, who grabs 2, and to get third, he will not. Drifted takes him down for the last kill of the round. And Rogers State takes an assertive 1-0 lead in round 1.
I mean, what did we even see? We saw, was it a little bit of a misplant? Was it pushed too forward, maybe?
I think it was just a little bit too forward, and that's such a touchy plant there on the corner, trying to keep the corner, or I say the corner of the circle, the edge of the circle outside or away from that wall on B to keep them from getting a protected defuse. But that allowed them to get it to half, and Pitt State just went to an immediate disadvantage and then got wiped clean in a matter of seconds. Team Nolan with
one enemy remaining.
It's a quick kill there.
Spike down
and
B.
with 4 down like that, Pitt State now at an immediate disadvantage with Ben dashing in, trying to get a quick kill. Will not. And another flawless or not another, but a flawless victory for Rogers State.
You know, I talked about this a lot last season, but you know, that first round really decides the second round. Typically, if you win the first, you're gonna win the second, and the third is really where you get your guns and when you can play as a unit with rifles. So that was kind of to be expected towards Pitt State side. Roger State winning that, but yeah.
Pitt State with the gun advantage, but with the new edition of the Outlaw, or the recent edition of the Outlaw, this defensive side, weapon-wise, isn't looking too weak. Ben gets a quick pick on Clarkey, and Shax is going to rotate back. Back on A site. A harbor wall blocks off the site of the enemies or the defenders for a moment. A couple quick picks from Doggy. He goes down to KT, and now it'll be a 2v3 with Pitt State advantage. Eros and Ben. Eros takes down KT, and Drifted's the last one. Against Ben, Eros, and Ben grabs the last kill of the round in the first round for Pitt State.
Yeah, we saw some great plays there. Ben getting that instant pick on the KO really helps them out because it shuts down, their shutdown technically, by stopping kind of, by enabling their team to put up like a harbor wall or the omen smokes instead of just getting shut down by KO's abilities immediately.
So Pitt State grabbing their first round, starting the momentum early. Lost a couple of players, but only 2, so it shouldn't impact their econ too terribly. A very default and standard defense from Rogers State. Drifted, goes down to Ben, but not without getting the elimination on arrows. It'll be 4-4, a good trade from both sides. Jack's backside, or Clarky goes down to Ben. Jack spots Doggy, face him down. Jack's with another pick. And Pitt State, in a 2-3 deficit right now when it comes to players. Ben and Bella, the last 2 remaining. Bella goes down. Ben grabs another, and he's going to have to ace if they want to claim this round, and he will not. Nolan with a good flank there from Rogers State. Claims their 3rd round and brings the lead back to 2.
I think Pitt State could have had that round if they kind of cleared where the harbor was, because that harbor instantly gets 2 while they were planting 2. So very unfortunate there that Shax was just in the perfect spot to take him out, hiding under the balcony. But we did see, you know, some great utility from the harbor on Pitt State's side. Bella having a great bubble. Certainly, unfortunately, it did come out late, so Gogley went down, but it was good. It was a good play.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great idea. It just unfortunately just got blown up by this Rogers State defense, which seems to be in sync right now. Pitt State, though, showing a lot of really good positives. I think this isn't just going to be a gimme game for either of these 2 teams. A couple of shots fired. Tilsey takes out Shax. That was on mid. And a quick 3-5 in Pitt State favor. Nolan spotted Tilsey, fired a couple of shots, but the 2v1 takes out Tilsey. Nolan with the kill. Now a 4v3 with plant down. Rogers State running on a time limit. We'll have to grab at least one more elimination before really making a move on this spike. Eros with a good shot there. Takes out Nolan. And Drifted goes down to Bella. Clarky, the last one standing. Bella with the kill. And Pitt State brings it back within 1.
Yeah, very nice. I think taking down that stage was crucial there, because again, they could have definitely walled that off and maybe got it to half to make it less, you know, oppressive for Rogers State. So good thing they took out the stage early there.
Yeah, and I think for Rogers State, playing that stage almost close on that wall is a must. Just as soon as you hear a plant go down or an enemy walking up, swing it, grab the pick, place the wall, block them off. I think that could allow them to buy a little bit of time, maybe push some more aggressive angles, whatever it may be. Some quick picks here in round number 6. And Pitt State losing most of their team as Nolan fires a couple shots with a frenzy from long range. Doggy goes down and it's Bella, the last one standing. Had a potential collab, but KT fires first. Takes out Bella, and it's been trades ever since those first 2 rounds.
Yeah, the back forth. It's going to be hard if for both teams if this keeps going up. We saw like a very oppressive play. I think 2 people were pushing A main on Rogers State side. Kind of caught Pitt State off guard there as well. So
yeah, kind of a little bit of a tennis match going on here. 4-2 if Pitt State can grab this one to continue that little streak of back and forth action. Bella playing a very flank-ish, almost off angle in spawn to see if maybe an enemy steps up mid. Looks like she might catch one off guard. No, Drifted, gets the best of them. And now Tilsey with a quick kill trades for that death from Bella. Jax takes out Tilsey, and Pitt State's a little too spread out. They gotta group up here.
Enemy remaining.
Drifted gets a elimination back in spawn, and with Ben knowing that, will guard his rear, and KT just a split push. I think that was just a little slow on Pitt State's side. They had the immediate push off of A, but didn't really commit or rotate. They were kind of stuck in this middle ground where the defenders collapsed on them.
Yeah, I think you worded it well. Right before you said that was that they were just so spread out too. And unfortunately, if they regrouped, they probably, you know, at least could have traded like we were talking about.
Yeah, just a little too spread out, but we see a little bit of a default push here. Could very well change up the momentum of this game, which is in the hands of Rogers State so far. And with a budget round, I think a default push is going to be ideal. Clarky missing a couple of shots, had the clear line on Eros. Eros down to 23 health now. Trying to hold a line. Clarky just moving ever so slightly to see if he can finish off Eros.
One enemy remaining.
The pick goes to Clarky, and three other Pitt State players go down in the process as well, leaving Bella the lone soldier trying to get the plant down. Does indeed. That will help the econ, but they will not get the round as Shax grabbing that last elimination.
Yeah, I think getting the plant down helps them a lot. I believe it's 300 more points than you would get normally if you just didn't plant. So
yeah, it's gonna help with that money problem that Pitt State is gonna be in a little bit of trouble with, losing, I believe it was 3 straight so far, so on an 0-3 run. But obviously with that difference in budget and that difference in money, that plant is essential, especially in a 1v5 situation where the odds are literally stacked against you. And this Rogers State team in sync right now. They are playing absolutely phenomenally.
Oh yeah! Monster on the loose!
A quick Sage wall up B causes a little hesitation in this Pitt State attack. Then pushing in first, fires a couple pre-shots. Nothing to show. KT playing it slow. Gets a quick kill on Arrows, and that will start the bloodbath. Everybody rotated except for Nolan, who stands alone on A with their Viper ult. Tilsey gets 2 kills and evens the odds a little bit. It's a 2v2 on B site with Nolan still not rotating. Harbor ult from Bella. It's Bella and Tilsey. Could they clutch it out? Plant is down. Bella goes down. Tilsey knows where Drifted is. Gets the kill. And Tilsey would have needed a ace clutch to pull that one off, and just does not get it. But a well-fought round, eliminating a couple of players and maybe damaging that Rogers State econ with those eliminations. Just unfortunately not able to fend off the bomb enough.
yeah, I think we kind of just saw small minor misplays from Pitt State. I think the Harbor bubble kind of went in a little too late, just slightly too late, to where Eros gets taken out early, and just small mistakes like that is kind of what's hurting Pitt State right now. But if they change those mistakes and they notice and recognize them, they will definitely be able to step it up.
Yeah, and you talk about, you know, how small mistakes, they're not even, you know, you call them mistakes, and I don't really know what else to word them as, but they're just a little bit off-timed. If they can time up these plays are drawn up very, very well. And if they can time them up just a little bit better, I think they're going to see that it shows a lot more success. Drifted with the op. That's going to be a tough push on A. I would almost say it would be better to rotate for Pitt State. They grab 2. Ben with 3 kills so far this round. Trying to get the quick pick on Nolan, but a great spray there from Nolan. KDC takes down Ben.
Yeah, it was kind of do or die there for Ben. He really honestly did need to push that early so he doesn't get, you know, flanked or double teamed by the other player, which I believe was the Jet was last alive, who can flank honestly pretty fast. So Ben really did have to take that duel, and unfortunately he died because of it.
Drifted with the op, still guarding the mid and rotating to that A, and I think that's such a smart play from Rogers State. Drifted seeing that if they play mid, they can guard both A and B and rotate just as quickly to either one. A quick kill on Ben cripples this Pitt State team, and another pick on Tilsey. Doggy takes out Clarky, but they're still at a disadvantage. 4v3. Drifted gets a kill on Arrows with the op, and that almost calls for an immediate rotate.
Last player
KT
standing.
takes out Doggy, and Bella gets the trade, but with only 33 health. Hopes are looking grim. A great shot there from Bella. Needs to watch out. There is an enemy close. I don't think they know, but Shax disregards it and gets that final elimination. 9-2.
Round in the half.
If Pitt State can grab this round, maybe turn things around for a 9-3 curse. I don't want to jinx it, but this could very well happen.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I think Clarky there with that very aggressive, like, fast push onto the zip line really gave them that round. Honestly, it was so off-putting for Pitt State there, and Clarky just with a fantastic play.
Yeah, grabbing two Pitt State players, and one of which, Ben, being the top frag, the aggressive entry, that was just a massive pick for Clarky. Ben, you see this aggressive entry from them right now. Gets a couple of damage, or gets a little bit of damage on one of those Rogers State players. Tilsey gets a pick on KT, and Pitt State just has to control this site. Shax takes down Tilsey. Synchronize the angles that they're holding. Doggy and Ben getting a kill of their own. Clarky takes out Ben, but they're still in a deficit. 2v3 in favor of Pitt State. Great KO knife leaves all three of Pitt State's players suppressed. It's only Arrows, and he's low on health. Could he make it happen? Throws down the mosh, and no dice. Does get the kill eventually, but just a little too slow, as you mentioned before.
Switching
Yeah,
sides.
I think you said it's not really mistakes or misplays. It's just unfortunate timing for Pitt State, honestly, here, as we've been seeing these last couple of rounds. Just small little tweaks to the timing would just help them out so greatly, and it's just not happening.
So 10-2 is the round score. We'll see if Pitt State can make Icebox look like a defensive heavy map.
Here.
Setting up, they elect to have two on A site, two mid, and then Doggy alone on B. It'll be Eros and Ben covering the mid lane, and then Bella and Tilsey on A. Ben gets a quick kill on Clarky, dashing back. Eros rotating very quickly. Drifted takes down Doggy and Ben.
Spike planted.
Tilsey got a couple of shots on Drifted. And that could be a huge pick for Pitt State. Drifted popping off in these pistol rounds. KT and Shax grabbing a kill. And Drifted with the final one against Tilsey brings the score 11-2.
Oh man, Drifted there with just the fast plays, the fast flicks on Ben, and then Doggy. It was just crazy. And then he gets away with it too. Unfortunately, at the end there, he dashes away and gets away for free. So, I mean, just crazy plays from Rogers State there.
So 11-2 is the score. As you look at this kill spread, each one of the Rogers State players sitting at a positive KD. And Ben, the only one of Pitt State, they got to figure it out. And I think, you know, you could say they're just kind of warming up here. They can give up one more round. Bella holding a nice angle here. Drifted, though, predicting exactly where Bella was to be. Chelsea grabs a kill back sight, but gets taken out by KT in the process. Arrows trying to get a couple shots off with the Marshall.
Spike planted.
Rogers stayed up 4-3 in players.
Dizzy's up top.
Flashes in for Ben, no contact, so Ben elects to go, but KT times it perfectly and takes him out. It'll be 2v4 now with Arrows and Doggy, the only two left.
Last player standing.
Doggy goes down to Shax, the Bulldog user. And with the plant down and time running out, Arrows grabs one, but Shax eliminates them in the process, and 12-2 is your score.
Let's reset.
Match point for Rogers State.
Yeah, Pitt State there didn't have bad. They had very good aim there, as we saw Arrows getting that quick headshot. But unfortunately, those picks need to come a little bit earlier for Pitt State in order to, you know, kind of scare off Rogers State from pushing so fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely understand what you're getting at. Just maybe playing with a little bit more confidence, a little more aggressiveness could very well help this Pitt State team, as they have the gun skill. I think they're just getting caught off guard with those hesitations in their pushes or defenses, or rotates rather. It seems like they're just a little unsure as to what to do in certain situations, and I think that'll come with time. Whoa. I think that'll come with time. That's a crazy voice crack right there. Come with time as they play this Rogers State team. Oh man.
Minor slip up.
Yeah, just a little one. Probably just from yelling out all of these action-packed games. You know, had Rocket League last night, now Valorant, but a slow play here for round 15. Spraying that Marshall is Arrows. Trying to grab a pick through the smoke. Tilsey takes out one, but Bella goes down in the process as well.
Blocking sight.
Doggy takes out Drifted. KT with a nice swing on Doggy, grabs the pick. Get another. Some damage. Nolan takes out Arrows. Nolan takes down Ben. And KT with the final kill on Tilsey. And it'll be GG's across the board. 13-2 is your final score in game one between Pittsburgh State and Rogers State. So with game one under wraps, Easton, you know, Pitt State going down, put up a little bit of a fight there in the middle of those rounds. But what do you think are some things that we obviously saw the really well-placed strategies and everything else, but outside of that and timing, what do you think are some things that Pitt State could maybe switch up to confuse this Rogers State team, or maybe give themselves a better chance?
I think what you said at the beginning about default pushes, kind of to where they kind of split up, maybe one go A, one go mid, and then 3B if they're trying to attack B or something, just to, you know, make them a little bit more confused and kind of spread out instead of all this congestion in one site, to where they're just duking it out 5v5. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I completely understand. Just taking those quick picks, understanding that, you know, on these maps, and I think a little bit is understanding the maps and how people play. I think Pitt State does know where Rogers State is going to tend to play, but with Ascent up next, You know, I think this is a more common map. We saw this last week as well, and Pitt State performing better on Ascent than they did on the previous map of Bind. We could very well see a different set, a different composition. Let's go ahead and look at this. What you think might happen in this matchup, Easton? Draw us up some plays.
Again, I would just for Ascent, I would love to see a Cypher, you know, kind of block off B by himself. I mean, if the Cypher is on B, again, it's shut down. So if Pitt State or Roger State goes Cypher, B will basically be completely locked in. But other than that, I would love to see maybe a split push A from 2 people, maybe mid or 3 mid, and then 2 just coming from, you know, straight to main, and then the 2 from catwalk, 1 maybe going here and then 1 going through the door. I would love to see some plays on both sides that are kind of like this, where it's split up. They can't target all of them at once, you know.
Yeah,
and they're not as grouped up.
And I think coming through mid from that B side, just going straight from B through mid with on an A push, like designating it as, hey, we're going A, but let's send a player from B side through that. I don't exactly know what you would call it, but into the middle of or mid to try and take out that mid player on an off angle. That could very well give Pitt State a little bit of leverage with those off angles, attacking from all different sides. But we are in Agent Select now. It looks like it will be the same order with Pitt State attacking as well as Rogers State on defense. Drifted back on Jets. Shaq switching from Harbor to Sova. Nolan from Viper to Omen. KT from Sage to KJ. And then Clarky sticking, I believe, with KO, if I'm not mistaken. And then on the other side, you have Ben with Jet. Tilsey with KJ. Danny and Be Happy subbing in for this matchup at Omen, and it looks like a hover over Sage, respectively. And Arrows at Sova. Arrows and Ben and Tilsey playing those common characters that we saw last week, or those common agents that we saw last week. You can expect Tilsey to probably solo guard B, lock that down with turrets, swarm grenades, and alarm bots. And then on the other side, I think you're just free to kind of do whatever you want with the rest of your agents. Really stack up A and maybe send 1 mid. But I would completely just respect the Tilsey on defense for B, because she's completely capable of taking out these Roger State players with the gun skill. And obviously with the help of alarm bots, swarm mines, whatever it is, it would make it very easy for Pitt State to rotate. And same goes for Rogers State as well, except they are going to send their KJ over to A site and see if they can lock it down real quick. They might switch it up halfway through the defense rounds as well, which could get a little interesting, guessing which way Pitt State might be pushing each round. It'll be a 5-player A push. A quick push from Drifted up mid. Takes out Ben. And Nolan will rotate back site quickly off of that pick. Tilsey and Danny go down in the process as well, leaving it with a 2v5. Slow orb up main, and Happy cannot get the rest of the players in a 4v1 situation. What an introduction into this matchup.
Such a quick shutdown by Roger State on that B kind of execute we had going on there. And then the person mid getting picked too, or not mid, but kind of holding that catwalk angle, getting picked too, is just so crucial for Pitt State there. And unfortunately, it just fall down. Yeah,
and what I'm seeing from Roger State, it isn't necessarily like, oh, they're running a good comp, they're running a good setup. It's that what they're doing is unexpected. Pitt State isn't expecting Drifted to literally dash up mid and try and take out, you know, their top frag Ben. So it caught them so off guard. And that really opened up a lot of space for this Rogers State defense. But Ben taking out Clarkey almost immediately here in round 2. We'll see if they can get a budgetable win. Ben takes out Drifted after a quick gunfight. We'll get a heal from, I believe that's Happy.
Spike down.
KT takes out Ben and Danny. Shax takes out Happy. KT takes out Tilsey as well. And a 3v1 with Eros, the last attacker left for Pitt State. Knows where 2 of them are. Doesn't know where Omen teleported to. A great shock dart there from the opposing Sova in Shax. And wow, just kind of a little bit of a mental game there mid between Rogers State and Pitt. You saw the Omen TP and then the shock dart, just kind of everything happening at once. Arrow's not sure what to do with all that information.
I think the Rogers State just locked in, you know. They know the game plan, they know what they need to do, and they know how to shut down these sites too, from what we're seeing so far. I think Pitt State, again, playing well, but they kind of need to change it up a little bit on, you know, kind of the play side.
So we'll see if Pitt State can claim this redemption round. It'll be a little bit of a budget round here for Rogers State, but Drifted. The rifle up mid. Clarkey takes out one, but Arrows gets him in the process. It'll be a nice trade for Pitt State. Happy under heaven, I don't think.
One enemy remaining.
What happened there? Oh no, they got shut down
I don't think
immediately.
they saw the opponent under heaven.
To be fair, it was smoked off by the Omen smoke, so I think running in there, I mean, all you could see are toes, and they kind of got caught off guard there.
Yeah, that was a tough situation there for Pitt State. The smokes being placed almost perfectly, and then obviously the judge under heaven. If you're anywhere within range of that thing, it is game over. But Rogers State making good work of that little budget bonus round. And 3-0 is the score. It seems like they just kind of took a couple of rounds to really dial in this game plan between the two maps. And it's looking like they are honestly just like almost peaking right now. It doesn't seem like Pitt State can get really anything going, but there's a lot of opportunities here, and we're only 3 rounds in, so there's plenty of time for them to make up for it. Drifted gets a quick pick on Danny, and that will force Pitt State into the mid, walling off B. Happy gets taken out by Shax in the Odin. And a little bit split up is Tilsey, Ben, and Arrows. KT takes out, or excuse me, KT and Clarkey take out Arrows. Ben and Tilsey on mid. Ben shooting KT through the box. That's some great map awareness there from Ben. That's one, and oh, the reticle was so close to Clarkey, but Clarkey getting 3 kills that round will take out Ben and bring the score 4-0.
You know, Ben trying his best there. They got instantly taken down, pushing through mid. It kind of, I mean, nothing really Pitt State could do there to kind of prevent that. They had the Odin shut down on B, the people holding Catwalk. It was just clustered up, you know, a bunch of, again, like I was saying, it's congested, and you kind of want to be more spread out on this map.
Yeah, and it seems like with this almost econ hole that Pitt State's in right now, it's so difficult because you're facing off against Odins with potentially Spectres or other lightweight guns. You're just at an extreme disadvantage, and you're already, you know, struggling to grab these rounds. You've got to find something to get yourself going. Tilsey in a bit of a predicament here. Yeah, that was just a really well played layout for Roger State, guarding off every angle of B. Tilsey just finds themselves in a tough situation. Ben has the sight.
That was smart from Tilsey, actually, because she was kind of baiting them to hesitate to rotate, and she kind of kept them on B there, which allowed them to plant the bomb. And with Ben with an op too, unfortunately he is very low, it could work out for them.
Yeah, I didn't even really think about that. Mostly in Tilsey's case, just a little unfortunate, but for the team, it bought a lot of time, and now Happy could have the reverse push, but unfortunately gets a couple shots on Shax. Shax just kind of unfazed by those bullets, pushes down into A site regardless, and takes out Ben with the op. Had his sights set.
Yeah, I think if Happy had a Spectre or just any better gun than a Ghost, they would have definitely had that kill. And they probably would have won, honestly. Ben probably would have got the other pick, and they could have turned that round around.
5-0's the score. And I definitely agree with that analysis there, Easton. I think Happy had just a little bit better weaponry, and that was kind of that econ hole that I was talking about. It's just so hard to get something going when you're already at that disadvantage when it comes to weaponry. Stacking up A are both teams. Drifted back with the op, and Ben is kind of locked off. Would have to use a dash to get across. Tilsey goes down to Clarky. Ben trying to get a quick pick here. Gets a couple shots on KT and Clarky. Clarky pushing through smoke. Drifted taking a couple of shots through it as well. Ben has this chance to potentially rotate if they wanted to. Gets the kill on Clarky through the smoke. That kind of opens up the sight a little bit for Pitt State. Ben still at full health. Drifted. Not sure as to what Pitt State's plan is here.
Yeah, I think Pitt State here just needs to commit to a site at this point. 36 seconds left. I feel like they should have just rotated B, honestly, when they got that pick. Because, again, like, it brings that hesitation towards Roger State about rotating. Could they be going A? Could they be going B? But yeah.
Yeah, I think the one thing that's keeping Pitt State from rotating is I think they're a little bit afraid that somebody might be flanking. They don't exactly know the intel. They didn't know the intel on the Sova, so it made it a little tricky. They were like, are we going to get caught off guard? And you could see them keep checking that flank side. Nobody home, all of them on A. But they get the plant down now, 2v2. Arrows trying to get a quick peek on Drifted, and Danny and Arrows go down to Nolan. Just an unfortunate situation. Not Nolan. Danny gets caught off guard by Nolan over there by Tree, and Nolan 2v1 takes down Arrows.
Yeah, I think you worded it well about kind of caught off guard. I think they really needed to just say, hey, you watch this, you watch the flank, I'll watch this, you know, you watch tree room, I'll watch balcony, and I think a little bit of miscommunication there kind of threw him off.
Yeah, Arrows guarding that heaven site, I think should have told Danny, hey, I need you to guard tree or main, one of the two. They were both pointing their guns at heaven, and it just caused both, you know, not Danny, but Nolan to push in and get those 2 kills fairly easily. A 5-player push up the main. It's gonna be a quick one. Danny trying to lock down CT. But Roger State has quite a few players back sight. Nolan playing patiently. Doesn't take out Ben. Ben gets 3. Shax takes out Tilsey. Drifted takes out Ben. And just as quickly as Pitt State opened up this site, it was kind of closed off by Drifted. Shax takes out Happy, and now it'll be Shax versus Danny. Danny gets the kill, and Pitt State grabs their first round, 6-1.
Very clutch for Pitt State there. Drifted taking out with the op there was just crazy, and it brought him down to a 2v2 instantly. But great clutch from Danny right there.
Yeah, Danny played that very, very well, I must add. Saw that Drifted got the 2 picks with the op and said, I'm close. I'm going to swing this very quickly, while Drifted is either loading up another bullet in the op or reloading the op. Caught Drifted off guard, and that was just perfect play from Danny. And that really, I would say, Danny won them the round, not only in that, but also getting that last elimination. And Pitt State kind of cornered here in B main. Billsy goes down to Drifted. Drifted takes out Happy. Eros is going to peek it now. Shax takes out Danny, gets his revenge. Clarky takes out Eros, but not after Eros takes out Shax. 7-1 now is the score. Pitt State back in a little bit of an econ hole. If we could go ahead and look at this scoreboard real quick. You see the money is just not favorable on that red side. They're going to be rocking only 2 rifles, one being a Marshall and one a Vandal. The rest pistols. Another 5-man push here from Pitt State. Arrows trying to grab a quick pick there on Drifted. And you see Drifted. Such good map awareness. Rotating almost immediately to whatever site Pitt State is pushing. Ben goes down to Drifted. And Nolan with some great character placement up top in that corner. Tulsi places down a Killjoy, but it will be countered. Clarky on the flank gets 2 in Happy and Danny. And wow, what a difference that makes. And Tilsey unfortunately gets locked down and goes down to Clarky.
Yeah, the Sage wall kind of messed him up, honestly, from Happy there. I think saging the flank wall made it where they just couldn't escape from the Killjoy ults, and they got caught off guard by it.
8-1's the score, and it seems like Pitt State's going for a little bit of a default push, maybe changing things up a little bit. We'll see how this pans out for the Gorillas. Danny pushing in and just barely peeks that smoke, gets taken out by Drifted. A little bit of a misplay there from Danny. Didn't read that smoke exactly how they may have wanted to. Eros gets a couple of shots on Clarky, and KT has them both low. Tilsey trying to get the kills. Eros takes out KT. Drifted takes out Happy, and Eros on Nolan and Drifted. Clarky takes out Eros, and Tilsey goes down to Shax. Had an opportunity there, but just kind of collapsing as this Rogers State defense recognizes exactly where Pitt State is and just literally collapses on wherever that primary push is at for Pitt State, and it just almost immobilizes that attack instantly.
Yeah, I think it's more like they're hearing their, how do I say it? They're responding to the noises very well. They're responding to the footsteps and, you know, just the little things like maybe a gun drop or a reload. Roger State is just responding to it super fast compared to Pitt State.
So kind of a split push here from Pitt State, going up mid primarily. Arrows trying to draw some fire over on B. Drifted takes out Tilsey. And a quick 3v4 for Pitt State. They're gonna have to work for this one. And now Happy's the only one left, and Nolan just rolling through that op. Quickly and swiftly taking these rounds as Rogers State, and this chemistry is just unmatched from the Hillcats. They are playing phenomenally. Only giving up 1 round in the match so far, and they're only 3 rounds away from taking this game. This will be the last round that they will play defense on, so we'll see if maybe the attack defensive switch can change things up for Pitt State. Hopes dwindling. Ben going for an aggressive push with the ult. Last round you might as well. Or last round in the half at least. And takes a couple of bullets from Drifted. Oh, Drifted goes down to Arrows. Not without taking Ben in the process. 4v3. Pitt State has the numbers advantage. Tilsey takes out 1. Shax and KT going for a little split push here. And KT, great shot on Arrows. Kills Be Happy and Tilsey. Oh, and what a turnaround for Rogers State. And just as Pitt State had the advantage, it is gone like that. Rogers State playing that literally perfectly. I could not, I mean, you want to see a perfect retake, watch that film over again. They flawless execution from Rogers State.
Yeah, definitely. Pitt State doing very good on that initial push and that initial plan, and just not even falling short. It was just, like you said, that perfect kind of retake messed them up so hard there, and they were just kind of turning heads.
Yeah, it was just like, oh, there's someone over here, and it just kind of darting back and forth between KT and Shax, trying to find out which one's going to push first after each of them gets a pick, and it just was not ideal for Pitt State. 11-1 though. Danny goes for a quick flash up B, but they don't push off of it. They had all of the players flashed. Could have very well.
Info there.
Yeah, maybe. Drifted grabs a pick on site. Arrows takes out Drifted, and Nolan takes out Arrows. Some quick trades back and forth between these two teams. A kill from Tilsey gets taken out by Shax. It'll be Ben and Happy versus Shax. KT, excuse me. Yeah, I was correct. Shax, Nolan, and KT versus Ben and Happy. KT going up main. Ben getting a heal, a good rotate there from Happy. Needed to get that heal down. And Ben goes down to KT. It'll be Happy, the only one left. Takes out KT, but goes down to Nolan in the process. Had Shax low.
Yeah, very close there again. I think it's just right there. They all 3 peaked at the same time, you know, or not all 3, but they peaked at the same time, and you know, both of them were kind of aiming in the same spot. Be Happy and Ben were aiming in the same spot and just got caught off guard again.
Yeah, it's been tough. This Rogers State defense, or their defense and offense, has played so well, and they're getting this plant down. You can tell that they've been so good at defense. If they get this plant down, they lock in, and they know exactly what they're doing. If they have this many players, if this person's alive and this person's dead, it's like they are pre-planning everything in their minds. Drifted takes out Arrows on the quick push, looking to get Danny as well. Bun takes out Ben. Happy goes down to Shax, and Tilsey with the series on the line goes down to Nolan. And that's a tough defeat there for Pitt State. I mean, like we had been kind of saying it between these two games, Pitt State played so well and honestly a lot better from week one. That chemistry, you could tell it's evolved, it's there. It's just the timing was a little bit off on some of the plays, and Rogers State, just their chemistry was unmatched. We talked about it all the time when they were on defense, just collapsing on that Pitt State push, not letting them get anything started, and that was really the key, even on attack too, just running in, breaking apart that defense almost immediately. And then it was just kind of like, what do we do? It's 5v2. How do we retake this? Just tough situations that Pitt State was in, and Rogers State, it was just really their intelligence that put Pitt State in these positions.
Yeah, I think you said it well. It's like they were playing so well. It's almost like they're shoulder to shoulder, brother in arms type of deal, where they just know what each other is thinking. And Pitt State, again, like you said, was doing so well, and it's just the small little timing or just blatant unfair plays. Not unfair, but you could just tell that Rogers State had the advantage in communication, sort of.
Yeah, and I think that might be with this new Pitt State roster. We saw some subs come in between the two games, maybe figuring some things out for later on in the season, and I think that's a good call there. Just figuring out which who's gonna be on that starting roster. Tilsey, Ben, and Eros really cementing their spot, but just figuring out, what comp is working best for us. But that will be it here on Pitt State Esports. Thank you for watching. We hope you guys tune in. Again, we have Super Smash Bros. Tomorrow and the following day as well, so be sure to tune in for that. But like I said, that will be it from me and Easton. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.